Assalamu alaikum all, welcome back to my channel. I pray that you're all in the best of health and iman. If you are new, welcome. My name is Nafisa. I am a certified relationship and trauma informed coach. So if you're interested in being coached in those areas, you can find me over on my website, which I will leave linked in the description box down below. Over here on YouTube, I make relationship and Islamic style content. So if you're interested in that, definitely subscribe. So in today's video, we are talking about 6 signs that you are afraid of commitment. Without any further ado, let's begin today's video. Number 1, you usually feel trapped when you are in a relationship or in multiple relationships before in the past. Feeling trapped in a relationship is this sense of not feeling free, and that may be a sign that you're actually not ready. You don't feel you're ready for the commitment that a relationship takes, because relationships take work. They take a lot of commitment, and feeling trapped just gives this sense of I'm not free. It gives this sense of I'm closed in, I'm locked into something, I'm forced into a place that I don't really want to be. Now, I want to put a disclaimer on this. It does not mean if you've had one relationship in your past, if you spoke to one particular person and it didn't feel right, now you're saying that, oh my god, I fit into this category. No, I'm saying if you've noticed that it's a pattern, that on multiple occasions you have felt trapped in your past relationships, that it may be a sign that you are afraid of commitment, and in that case you're actually just pushing a relationship away and you do not want to actually really be in one. Sign number 2, you're always questioning whether or not you actually want to be with your partner. Now, this may be a sign of lack of commitment to a relationship or fear of commitment to a relationship if it has happened once again consistently. Most of the things I'm going to say here is if you have seen a consistent pattern, it may indicate that you are afraid of commitment. Some people have 1 or 2 or 5 different excuses about why somebody isn't right for them. If you're continuously just always having something to say about why something doesn't work for you, about why a relationship isn't going to work. You meet someone, you're like, yeah, everything seems fine, everything is okay, but and then you come up with 1,000,010 different excuses. Yeah, it might just be your intuition telling you that there's something off going on here, but when that doesn't exist and still you look for excuses, you may actually be afraid of commitment, because people who are ready to commit to a relationship understand the fact that nobody is perfect in this life and they're not going to find somebody who is going to 100% tick all of their boxes. So if a person is expecting that someone who is going to show up, who's going to tick all of their boxes, and so therefore as soon as they find any flaw with anybody, then they're ready to check out, then that person is actually probably afraid of commitment, and that's why they are keeping themselves away from taking the relationship to the next level. So yes, if you consistently look for excuses and reasons why people aren't good enough to be with you, then you may actually just be afraid of commitment. The third sign is super important, and that is that future talking creates this sense of anxiety and fear in you. If you're speaking to a person and the second they start talking about the future, maybe future plans, future goals that maybe you should set together, you start getting nervous. The second they actually start talking about, okay, so when are you going to come and see my parents to formally engage me, you start getting nervous. Or that we're coming to see your parents to do the formal engagement, you start getting nervous. That may be a sign, not always, but it may be a sign that you are afraid of commitment, because that solidifies things. And when you know that things are beginning to get serious, and that creates a sense of anxiety and fear in you, you may just be afraid of commitment. Now, I also have to say as a caveat to this that sometimes you will feel nervous about, going ahead through with marriage with somebody. I don't think anyone ever goes through marriage with absolutely no sense of a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of fear, would I be a good wife and all of that. It goes through the minds of the most of us. So having a little bit of that is not a major issue. But if it really gives you this sense of anxiety and you kind of feel like, okay, I don't want to do this, then yeah, you may actually just be afraid of commitment, because making big decisions, you're going to have to commit to this relationship. That's what that means. And you're trying to avoid that. So maybe a sign that you're afraid of commitment. Sign number 5, you are scared of getting hurt. When a person is afraid of getting hurt, they oftentimes push people away without even meaning to or without even intending to. And sometimes they do it intending to because they don't want to get too close. They are afraid that if they get too close and this person begins to really know who they are, then maybe the person may not like them. Or that if they allow themselves to become vulnerable with this person, then maybe this person will take advantage. And sometimes that is coming from a wounded place. It's coming from something that has happened in the past where people that you may have trusted have let you down in some way. They've broken your trust in some way. They've just let you down in some way. And so now you're extremely guarded and you're trying to keep that guard up. That can get in the way of commitment. And so a lot of the times you find that someone who is consistently rejecting other people, it's not really about the other person. It's more of what is going on internally. And in this example, I really want to say that you really want to do your inner work. You want to sort out what's going on inside of you. And if you're interested in my trauma membership, where I help women to heal from their past traumatic relationships, then the link to it is in my description box down below. And if this is one of your issues, you definitely want to do your inner work. You absolutely want to do your inner healing, because until you heal, you will continue to push people out of your life. And sometimes you won't realize that God is bringing amazing people into your life, but you just keep pushing them out and you end up lonely. And then one day you wake up, you say, what have I done to myself? So the soon as you start to, get to the bottom, to the root of this, and you begin to heal it, the better. This is why I highly, highly, highly encourage women to engage in growing, to engage in developing themselves, to always have a room, space in their life for them to continue to grow and develop, because none of us are perfect. We've all got issues, and there's always something that we can be doing to help to better ourselves and make ourselves better people. Because when we don't and we just stay in our wounded place, this is one of the results that can come out of that, where we are afraid of commitment, and instead of attracting positive relationships, we just push everybody away, and that is not a healthy place to be. So therefore, one of the signs that you may be afraid of commitment is if you are scared of getting hurt. Yes, there's always a risk with any relationship that you may get hurt, because the other person isn't perfect. In fact, I think it's inevitable that at some point the person that you love will hurt you in some ways. Hopefully not in major ways, okay? Do not get it twisted, all right? This does not mean tolerate abuse. But what it means is that they're going to do something that is going to upset you at some point. It's just human nature. Likewise, you will do the same with them, because you're not perfect and you're going to make mistakes. Guaranteed you will make mistakes with your spouse, okay? Because you're not perfect. But that does not mean that the mistakes are going to be major in a way that they're going to wound you in a major way. So being afraid and using that as an excuse to kind of stay away means that there's an internal problem, there's an internal wound, and it needs to be healed. So definitely focus on your healing, but that can definitely be a sign. The last point that I'm going to make is most certainly not least, because it's very, very important, and it can be a major highlighter that someone is afraid of commitment. And that is focusing on finding faults in others. When we focus on finding faults in others, it can be a major sign that the person who is doing so is afraid of commitment. Why? Because the faults are an excuse for them to say, okay, and that's why I'm rejecting you. Because it would hurt to look internally and say, okay, maybe I'm the problem. So rather they say, no, this person is the problem because X, Y, and Z. And essentially, this bleeds into this perfection idea that some of us have in our heads, that somehow we are going to find a man who is perfect. The perfect man doesn't exist in this life. Okay, you will have to wait to pass away to reach heaven for you to find the perfect man, because he doesn't exist in this earth. And if you're going to always focus on looking for faults, you will find them. Oh, believe me, girl, you will find them. If your focus is on looking for faults, you will always find them, because every single one of us has faults. Every single one of us. So if a person uses other people's faults as an excuse to just keep, disregarding potentials, it may be a sign of something's actually going on inside of them, and they are actually just looking for an excuse to use so that they can avoid committing. Because people who aren't afraid of commitment, they know that everybody's going to have faults, but they have their boundaries in terms of what they can and cannot put up with. And they are very realistic to know that they're not going to find anybody who is perfect. It's just a matter of what can they just about live with, even though they don't like that flaw. That is what it's really about. There are certain flaws that are major and we're like, absolutely not. And that's different for everyone. I always give the example of, for me, I could never marry a man who smoked. And for some other woman, she's like, that's no big deal. I think I can manage that. If he's a good person, he prays, and that's his only flaw, I can handle that. So it's different for everyone. And therefore, it's not for anyone to tell you what you should or shouldn't prioritize. Apart from the deen and, of course, character and all those major things, the rest is up to you. But you also have to be very realistic about this thing in knowing that you're not going to find a perfect man. So when you find him and he has a flaw, and the flaw is not the end or be all for you, even though you don't like it, girl, if he has most of the good stuff, keep it moving, get married, move on. Nobody is perfect in life. And so consistently focusing on the flaws of others and looking for flaws in others can be a sign of someone who is afraid of committing. So those are the 6 signs that I wanted to talk about in today's video that may signal that a person is afraid of commitment. If you find yourself to be one of these people and you're like, oh my God, she's talking about the story of my life, then girl, it's not too late. Or dear man, it is not too late. You can absolutely work on this. You can absolutely get better. You can heal from your internal wounds. At the end of the day, there's something going on the inside that is making you afraid of actually having to commit. And I would also advise that if you're feeling this way, if you meet most of the things I'm saying here, please do not rush to actually get married. The first step that I would actually say is start your healing process. And then as you're getting better with your healing process, you can start looking for someone to get married to. I don't also advise for you to wait until you're completely healed before you get married, because there's no such thing. As long as you're making good progress, I think you can get married, absolutely. But I just don't think that this version of you that is afraid to commit is a good version to give to your spouse, because you may start your marriage out in a very negative way, and that's no good. That's no way to begin a healthy relationship, okay? And it's also not fair to your other partner. So if you want to engage in your healing process, you can join Healing Traumatic Hearts, which is my healing membership for those who have experienced past traumatic events and want to better their lives and have better relationships. So my darlings, those are the 6 tips that I have for you. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, definitely make sure you give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't seen this video that I created a few days ago, definitely make sure you check it out, and I will see you over there, God willing. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.